So hi Maeve.
Hi.
Nice to see you again.
And you too.
What we've been doing is we've been videotaping and guys around the distillery, you know, how we make whiskey and all that sort of stuff. So people are going to be asking, why am I interviewing you? So what is it you do? What's your job?
Well, I am a jeweller and I create mostly engagement rings and wedding rings, all in the Scottish style, based in New York City, and we sell to independent retailers across America.
Right. So that has absolutely nothing to do with whiskey at all?
You'd think not.
No, but there is a reason we're speaking though, isn't
There's
there?
a missing link.
Right, so what's that?
It's me.
We've created our Highland Park 50-year-old,
Yes.
which will be coming out soon, and you are the lady who's designing it.
Mm-hmm.
You're drawing the pictures.
Very nice to be called a lady so early in the morning, Gerry.
Notice nobody's called me gentleman yet. That never happens. So, how did you start being a jeweller?
Well, I actually started out at the age of 14. My grandparents had an art gallery in the Borders in Scotland, and they had the work of a local jeweller, and I used to be obsessed with the tiny miniature world and stare at it a lot, and was really intrigued by what this lady did, and ended up doing some work experience with her on the bench, and the rest is history. I went on then to do a couple of degrees in traditional goldsmithing and teaching and consulting and designing all around the world, and now I've got my own business in Manhattan. Yeah.
And what took you to Manhattan?
Well, my business partner is American,
Yeah.
and I actually had identified a niche for the type of products that I design for the American market, which is very sleek, sort of sophisticated, not ostentatious, but European style designs that also have a sort of Celtic inspiration behind them, and they're all Scottish themed, and obviously with 20 million global Scots just in North America, there's a real demand for Scottish themed products, and that's been very successful for us.
So you're a Scottish lady who deals in making handcrafted jewellery at the best that you physically can. That
Yeah.
sounds pretty much like what we do up here,
Yeah.
which is makes it a nice fit. So, whiskey. Do you like whiskey? You better like whiskey.
I love whiskey.
Good, good. Can I ask what's your favourite? This is where I find out that I get the wrong answer.
Well, I think that's probably the reason I'm here today, because Highland Park is absolutely one of my top favourite whiskies in the world.
See, people are going to think that I fed you that answer before we started, but no.
Oh, there's no bribery here, but there can be later, you know.
But good. So what we did is you came to Scotland, is that right?
Yeah,
To the Marketing Society.
Yeah,
And
I was doing a talk for the Marketing Society. I'm a Global Scot, one of the ambassadors who help promote Scottishness internationally, and I come back and do work in Scotland with Scottish companies and things like that. And I was just giving a talk on how I market my company. Everything's Scottish themed, and we shoot all our products in Scotland and have that theme running through it. So I was giving a talk, and Ken and the Highland Park team were in the audience, and we ended up chatting. And he said, I have some whiskey, and I said, I'm a designer and I love what you do. And he said, well, that's interesting, I like what you do. And the rest just kind of stemmed from there. So it was we had a real love of whiskey in common, obviously. And yeah, that's how we met.
And you'd said previously that while you're making jewellery for weddings, obviously, while the bride is having the ring designed, the men are getting something else. What are they getting?
Oh, well, they actually, we do whiskey tastings for all of our trade shows, and we do a lot of shows for our retail stores as well, and often whiskey comes up. So, like you say, the lady will be shopping for something that she likes, and the guy will, you know, Scotch usually comes up in the conversation because what we do is Scottish, and, you know, we're in America, and they're really interested. And but then actually the lady will come into the conversation too, and we'll talk about, they'll usually say something like, oh, I'm not a whiskey drinker, and I'll say, well, that's because you haven't tried X, and I'll, you know, start the conversation like that.
So do you have to buy a ring to get the whiskey tasting, or do you have to pretend to buy the ring?
No, we do a lot of whiskey tastings for our retail stores, because the retailers are really interested in very high quality product, and a lot of them are very interested in the whiskey market anyway, but they haven't necessarily had exposure to a very focused introduction to different types of tastes in different regions and the kind of things that, and I'm definitely just an amateur in giving the tastings, but I really like to give them an experience they've never had before. And oftentimes people in America, they'll have tried blended whiskey and maybe Glenlivet or Glenfiddich or something that everybody's heard of, and they don't really know much beyond that, and they're thrilled to come across some of the, whether it's a single cask or whether it's any kind of special edition finish on it, something different that they really enjoy.
See, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now everybody who's watching this has just realised that you actually do know what you're talking about whiskey, which is why I like you. So if you've got all these handmade bits of jewellery, everybody around the world wants to know how much. What's the most expensive bit of jewellery you've ever sold? Or is that trade secret? You know,
we do a lot, in the way it's sold in America. Oftentimes our customers will have their diamonds separately, but we set a lot of really expensive stones. And my business partner, because his background is Wall Street, he's always saying, our business is, we have a lot of very small expensive things that fly around and can get lost easily. So, but it's a very precious industry, and all the time we're handling diamonds that are, I would say like $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 just for the diamond. So you have to take care with a product like that, and you're setting this very important heirloom stone that's like sentimental into this setting, and you're really not to overpower the stone either. So it's very similar to what you do. You're handling something that's of great value, and it's taken a long time to create. I mean, diamonds take millions of years to create. I'm sure you feel that the 50's taken just as long.
Absolutely right. Not quite millions, but yeah. Thousands of years of peat. Yeah, I can see how that works.
Longer than your lifetime anyway.
Absolutely.
Beyond there, it doesn't, it's kind of going
right.
off the clock.
So if you've got somebody comes in and buys a ring, how long does it physically take from the moment of conception? Because I dare say they come in with their own drawings or own ideas. Can you design them specially for them? I know they can probably pick it from a catalogue as well, but you'll physically design bespoke bits of jewellery as well?
We mostly do, we have ranges and they select a piece from that, but then what we do is we'll custom build their choice of exactly which design. It comes in different metal combinations, whether it's platinum or 18 karat gold, whether it's mixed together. A lot of our designs are 2 or 3 parts, so we can mix the different metals that way. And then we'll take their choice of stone and we'll build the ring specifically around that to their finger size and the exact carat weight of diamonds that they're looking for. So that's where the custom end comes in, but it's from one of my designs.
So from the actual conception of designing a ring, how long does it take to go from the actual physical first idea right the way through to when it's completed, when the photography is done for the catalogue? How long does that actually take?
It usually takes a couple of months to get through that stage. To get to the designs, I wish that I could dream a bestseller up every night, but it doesn't realistically happen like that. So you never can tell quite what will be the most popular designs until they're actually out there. But the length of time for actually making the customer's ring, once they've chosen the style they want, is roughly about 3 to 4 weeks to actually handcraft that piece for them.
What's the most painful part of the design process for making a ring? Is it the physical drawing, or is it actually you have the idea, but the hardest part is actually how you actually do it? Because you know what you want it to look like, but the silversmith goes, no, it's impossible.
Well, I think it helps because I spent like 6 years working on the bench, so I'm actually a trained jeweller myself, so I know how things should be made, and I know if it won't work really before I design it. Usually, they'd probably disagree with me on the bench, but I think the hardest part is coming up with the concept, because I love to draw, so a lot of the time I'll actually draw, and the piece itself will come out of the way that I draw. And so I'll spend a lot of time just doodling and see what comes out of that. But usually there's a grain of an idea in my head already, and I think there's no shortcut to that. No. You just have to have it, and you don't know when it's going to come, which is the joy of being an artiste.
So for yourself, I mean, I know I speak to a number of musicians and things like that who literally will write down in lifts. They'll get their bit of paper out and write down little notes and things like that. But for you, it doesn't work like that. It's just wait for that moment just to happen, and then.
Well, obviously I have to sit down and plan collections and be more realistic than that. But I have been known to sketch things on napkins, and there's no question that my best ideas come at 3 in the morning, which is really inconvenient. But hopefully, you can travel a lot and change time zones, and eventually it'll come to the right time.
I've been a young Scottish girl, been staying up at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's just normal, isn't it?
That's what I need whiskey for.
Absolutely right. Okay.
As long as you don't stop drinking.